Hello, peace be upon you all, dear angels of God. Welcome back for another episode of The Living Jesus. I'm your host, Saiha, and I'm here with my co-host, Tiffany. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here as always. I can't wait to get into today's topic.
God bless you. And yesterday was a very good topic. I really enjoyed our conversation yesterday about women in religion and the women of God, the chosen women of God. And today we want to ask a question that many people who aren't mainstream Christians might be asking, or even Christians who follow basically mainstream sects of Christianity, right? Yeah. And that is the law of attraction something that is real?
Yes. Yeah. I think many people, regardless of whether they're religious or not, they've heard of this concept of the law of attraction. And there was a book called The Secret that was written on this topic about 20 years ago. So it's something that people have thought about and pondered. And certainly we would need to dive into the religious text to see if we find any evidence for it in the Bible or the Hebrew Bible or the Quran or, any of these books. We want to study it from that angle, from the perspective of religion, and see whether it's something that God has been teaching us about, but maybe we've overlooked it.
Exactly. I mean, there's lots of different methods of using the law of attraction. There's manifestations. I think it's really big in New Age, Christianity and spirituality, where people use affirmations to attract certain things in life that they want, like a car or a house or a husband or wife or perhaps some money, and there's different methods, and a lot of them, if you look it up on the internet on YouTube or on TikTok, you will find many people who have written books and make videos on it, stating that they know how to do it. They've unlocked the secret. They have the key to manifesting your best reality, your best self, right? So there are many of them. So the thing is that we want to look at the prophets and messengers and see if they also had a method. And for us as believers in prophets and messengers, first and foremost, because they come directly from God, we want to look to them for the answer of what is it that we can do in order to attract the best things in life, or heaven, or the best self, or money, anything like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that we have to sort of take a look at the world around us and be honest with ourselves. I mean, it's kind of obvious that whatever methods have been preached over the past couple of decades, they haven't really worked on a global scale. Because look around and the world is in an arguably worse state than it was, 20 years ago, when this type of thinking and teaching started to become extremely popular in pop culture. So I think that we have to be honest and say, okay, we're not getting the full picture from what it is that they've been teaching, and that's because we haven't been taught this by a man from God. It's something that's been preached by self-appointed experts, people who God has not appointed, have been perpetuating this knowledge. So it's incomplete knowledge. We obviously know that there is a way to attract. The law of attraction is something that we find in the scriptures, but the way that it's being preached by these self-appointed people is not the full story. So in order to understand what the true law of attraction is and put it into action, we have to take a look at what's written and preserved throughout history by the prophets and the messengers. And Aba Al-Sadiq is the one who brought this to our attention. He just released an episode yesterday called The Real Secret, and you can watch it on the Mahdi Has Appeared YouTube channel. And the content of today's discussion is inspired by the discussion that he had in that episode. Yeah.
And I think that the Christians, our Christian audience who read the Bible and the gospel, I think that they will find that it's all over the Bible, and it's all over especially Jesus's teaching. So the thing is that the reason why it's so important to actually obey the words of Jesus and not just say, oh, he's my king, but not obey anything he says and completely disregard all of his words, is the fact that the majority of the Christians today are miserable because they didn't actually obey him. Because if we actually look at the words of Jesus and also other prophets and messengers, right, because they all came from the same source, you will find that the true purpose of the law of God and the law of Jesus is to have prosperity and to attract the best things possible.
Right.
But the way that they're offering it is much more difficult than perhaps somebody who's saying you just need to say 10 affirmations before you go to bed, and then you're gonna wake up rich. Or perhaps you're gonna say, oh, you're gonna meditate a certain amount and recite certain things, and then or go to this mosque or go to this seminar, you know, or read this book and learn the secret of it, and then it will just happen. But in fact, you know, we don't, like you said, like we don't see this manifesting in the world.
It's not working.
Exactly.
It's not working clearly.
And is it that the majority of people are just not good at it, and only like the people who are rich and successful, they're just mastered it, and they just are better than everybody else who are able to do it and nobody else is able to do it? Or is it perhaps that the system that's in place for the law of attraction right now is actually not working?
Because it's missing something very important.
Exactly.
I mean, the law of attraction as it's being taught or has been taught by these false teachers is a very selfish version of the law of attraction, right? It's about attracting something, wealth or love, or, you know, any of these nice things, whatever it is that you're looking to attract. It's all about just bringing it to yourself, and it disregards the rest of humanity. But Abu Sadiq, from him his peace, he taught us that the true secret is that you should be however it is that you want God to be with you, with other people. So it is a method of attracting that includes God in the equation, and it also includes the rest of humanity. So you have to be unto your fellow human being the way that you want God to be with you.
Exactly.
And it works in all areas and all things that you're looking to attract. You have to be like a mirror, and you reflect back what it is that you're looking to attract.
Exactly. I mean, if you want money, if you want to be rich, you have to be generous with other people. If you are stingy, no way. I mean, perhaps there are some people in this life, you know, who do get money even though they're stingy, but it's a test for them, right? But if you are actually, you know, a believer, and you don't necessarily want to obtain wealth through forbidden means, you know, if you are a good believer, a good person, and you want to abide by the law of God, but you also realize that, you know, no matter what you do, you can't really get wealthy, or you can't have what you want. And the thing is that in the Bible and from the teachings of the prophets and messengers and Jesus, there are methods to be a believer, earn what you want, you know, in a halal, not a forbidden way, but also have wealth and resources and love that you want, and anything that you want. This is called paradise. This is why Abu Sadiq has come, is to establish paradise on earth. And how is it that we do that, right? How is it that we can have whatever we want on earth? Is by applying the law of attraction that God implemented through his prophets and messengers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you want to dive into the first one? That's a very famous book. It's Proverbs, the book of Proverbs. You know, this book is sometimes, I mean, it always has something.
It's a book of wisdom.
Yeah, it definitely has a lot of good wisdom, but it can definitely make you cry sometimes, because it is very honest about everything. And if you do want to reform yourself and become a better person, for sure we would recommend that you read the book of Proverbs. So if you want to read the first one.
So in Proverbs chapter 11 verse 25, we find a generous person will prosper, whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. So we see that this exact concept is being spoken about in the scriptures of Judaism and Christianity, because the Jewish people and the Christians, they take this to be a holy text. So this is exactly what it is that Abu Sadiq from his peace was speaking about.
Exactly. You refresh others, and then you will also be refreshed by others.
And as you mentioned, the idea that some people, they have wealth, and automatically you have to know that they're being tested with that, right? Having resources, because God is the owner of everything, right? Everything comes to you through God. and God is giving you an opportunity to be a vessel through which He sustains others, right? Just as He sustained you, you have the opportunity to sustain other people. So it's automatically a test for you. And Abba Sadiq discussed that in his episode. He said that when he was on this journey, he decided that he would give to people what they asked from him, and saw that every person that he encountered who asked him for something, it was as if God was testing him. So we find this exact topic is spoken about in the Bible, in the epistles and in the Gospels. I can bring up the slide from James chapter 2, verse 15 through 17. It says, suppose a brother or a sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to them, go in peace, keep warm and well fed, but does nothing about their physical needs, what good is it? In the same way, faith by itself, if it is not accompanied by actions, is dead. So it is incumbent and required, if you encounter somebody who is in need, that you fulfill their needs. So if a beggar comes to you and they ask you for money and you have money in your pocket, then, you know, it's really it's a test from God, and you have the opportunity to sustain that person just as God provided the money and put it in your pocket. So yeah, if you want to acquire, you know, wealth, and you want God to be generous with you, then you also have to be the vessel through which He provides for others. Exactly. That's putting your faith into action.
And I think that a lot of people, especially in Christianity, they don't even know that that reincarnation is actually taught by Jesus and the disciples and all of the prophets and messengers. So, you know, even if you think, you know, there are some atheists who, you know, or even Christians who say, well, you know, maybe what about people who are wealthy and they never share and they're always cruel to people, but they still die and they have everything and they're really happy. Well, you know, according to the prophets and messengers and the family, the Holy Family, the Holy Spirit, you know, they will reap those benefits in the next life or one of their lives, where they will
experience,
you know,
what it's like to be on the other side. Yeah.
Exactly, for sure. So, you know, for us, we believe in the full truth. We believe in all scripture and all truth, you know, it needs to be read together. So we do take this concept of reincarnation. So even if you are stingy and you don't, and you see poor people and you're rich and you don't feed them and clothe them, and then you get away with it in this life, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to forever get away with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. We have that in very, very, very important concept. And it is tied to, as we know, this concept that we're speaking about, the law of attraction, is very tied to the concept of karma. And karma, of course, is also tied to the concept of reincarnation. And it is all one story that, you know, has these different elements at play. So
exactly.
Yeah, all of these things are related.
So let's go to the next slide, which is Luke chapter 14, verses 13 to 14. And it says, but when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed, although they cannot repay you. So there's another verse that's not here, but Jesus, he also says, you know, forgive, love your enemies as well as the people you love, right? Because if you only love your friends, then what reward do you have? Like, what benefit did you receive that was different? How are you different than a Gentile who is a sinner, who is a disbeliever that also does the same, right? Yeah. So definitely the most rewarding deeds that will give you the most success and the most generosity from God is giving people who can't repay you back. So don't only lend or only feed people who can benefit you. So have no respect of persons when you give.
The idea is that even though they personally cannot repay you, it's not like they're going to pay you back, but your deed will be repaid, because God will be the one who repays you for what you have done to, you know, His child, because all creatures are the children of God. So it's very, it's very important to understand that it's not as simple as I do this for you and you do this for me. No, because all blessings and all sustenance, they're coming from God, right?
Exactly. That's why it's important to only do good deeds for the sake of God. If you're only doing it for God, you're not looking at the person in front of you. You're just seeing a person who needs water, and you have water, and you're like able to give it, and you just give it because you love God, and God taught you that you should give water to a thirsty person. And it shouldn't be like, let me look at him, okay, maybe he's gonna, maybe he's not gonna pay me back, or maybe he's wearing something I don't like, or he's a part of this religion that I don't like, and then I'm not gonna give him water. You should always do all of your deeds for the sake of God alone, so that you have no respect of persons. No matter who it is that needs something from you, you will give it to them, no matter what it is that they spent it on, right? And I think this is also the dilemma that a lot of people have, like with homeless people, they're like, well, he's asking me for money, but what if he uses it for drugs? Well, that's none of your business, right? You had the money that he asked for and you were able to give it, so just give it to him without making a judgment, because God is the one. You're doing it for the sake of God and not for the sake of a benefit, or that you have to control what he does with the money, right?
Yeah, or, it's important to keep in mind, and I think that it's really relevant to this conversation, which is the golden rule. Treat others as you want to be treated, right? It's very tied to this concept. And I think that if people put themselves in the shoes of the other human being, imagine that you really were poor and you really were sincerely just asking for money in order to buy food, or in order to put shelter, over your head for the night, whatever the situation may be that you're in. You would want that person trusts you, and that they give to you, right, what you need, because you're going to them. It's basically like praying. You're asking God, to please help you. And how is God going to help you? He's going to help you through the hands of another human being.
Exactly.
So this idea of treating the person as you want to be treated, it really comes into play here. And as we know, and obviously I spoke about in the episode, that's really how God is with us, right? Like God judges us based on how we judge others, and God, gives to us according to how we are with others. And he even went into this story, and he mentioned and referenced some stories that are in the scriptures, like particularly the story of David, the prophet David, and how he was judged by God according to his judgment in a situation. So God held prophets, to account based on their own judgment. And it was the story where the prophet Nathan had come to him with a parable, with a man who had 99 sheep and a man who had one. A man who had one sheep, and he was asked to judge in this matter, and he did not like it that the man who had 99 sheep was trying to take the one sheep from the other man, and it turned out that this was actually just a parable in order to call him out, because he had judged that way in taking the one wife of his companion Uriah. But I think that we have a caller, so I would like to just answer that call before we jump back into the story.
Hello, how are you?
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for asking. It might be not relevant. If you want, I can join next time. But it's to do with Abu Sadiq as well.
Okay.
Do you want me to speak about it, or should I join next time?
We can briefly try and help you.
I mean, we can also direct you if it's not a question that we can answer like in 5 minutes or less. We can direct you to a video or a book, something.
I mean, if you don't have the question, no problem. You can guide me on how to get the question, please.
Sure.
Yeah. So just out of my establishment, right? I just want to know when should the will be passed?
What do you mean?
So do you know the will should be passed?
Yes.
While they are closer to death, or when I'm a bit confused.
I mean, as far as I understand, there's no prescribed time frame on it, because, for example, in the will you have Ali and you have Al-Hassan and you have Al-Hussein, and they were all alive in the same time, so it's not like it's prescribed in that sense that there has to be a specific timeline on it. Yeah. I mean, God doesn't work that way.
I mean, look, there's a father who, perhaps has 4 children and 1 wife, and they're living with him and they're living with him for many, many years while he's alive. But he still wrote a will, allotting a certain goods to all 5 of the individuals while he's living, just to prepare just in case of a sudden death, right? But perhaps he chose an heir to, keep up with his company, right? And then he's training the heir and he's showing him how to run a company all this time before his death, right? Preparing him to take over the company, but it doesn't necessarily mean that he's the owner of the company until the father dies, right? So, just because the successors and the people who are written in the will are present, it doesn't mean that the previous the previous predecessor has already passed away.
Okay, so perfect. So exactly, I agree with you. Obviously, it doesn't mean that if they are wrote on the will, they are successors till the person, the actual leader dies, and then he should pass it on. Do you agree?
Yes. I mean, the successors are written and designated in the will. So we have that from the time of the Prophet Muhammad until the present day.
And the reason why it's different than perhaps a normal man who writes a will is because this is written by the Prophet Muhammad.
And he promised
he was
that
a prophet.
It was a protection against misguidance.
Yeah, he
so
knew
it was
the
a very
future.
special kind of document.
Yeah, it's not a normal will because it's a will of a prophet.
Obviously, is it like a guidance that nobody would go straight after that? So I completely understand.
Yes.
But however, how did Abu Sadiq get his will?
It was given to, what he was told by his predecessor Ahmad al-Hassan, from him his peace, that he is Abdullah mentioned in the will of the Prophet Muhammad.
Okay, and how did what did you mention his name? Sorry,
Ahmad al-Hassan.
Ahmad al-Hassan, his predecessor, the first Mahdi.
Yes, he received it from Imam Mahdi, who is the 12th Imam.
And according to what we said previously, and we agreed on one point, that the will only will be passed when someone is closer to death, and
we didn't agree on that. We said that the will is valid regardless of the timeline of people passing away, because this will has the names of the successors from the time of the Prophet Muhammad until the present day.
I think that you think perhaps you're under the impression that like the will has like the authority of imamate has already been passed to the second Mahdi, when in reality the Yamani Ahmad al-Hassan, the first Mahdi, and Abu Sadiq the Qa'im, they are basically the successors of Imam Mahdi, but they are basically taking pledges of allegiance to Imam Mahdi, who is going to be the first ruler to rule. So there are his successors, yes, and they are the messengers, and they are the current people who are out in the public whom we know. Abdullah Hashem Aba Al-Sadiq, he's outside. He was sent to be the face of the religion, to propagate and to take pledges of allegiance to Imam Mahdi. So when we're pledging our allegiance, to Imam Mahdi, and then after he rules, then Ahmad al-Hassan will rule, and then Abu Sadiq will rule.
Yeah, so I completely understand, but obviously the only reason I'm asking is to do with the will, because the will, I had a very closer look in the will, and in the will obviously he says, "Oh Ali, you are the first successor after me," which is the Prophet's state, is obviously confirming this to Imam Ali, and he tells them there will be 12 Imams, and after them there will be 12 Mahdiyun. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Okay, so perfect. So after that, obviously the Prophet directed Ali to be the first Imam, and he said, when you are closer to death, pass the will to Al-Hassan. So obviously now there is a time frame that will should not be passed till the first successor is closer to death. So again, we have a successor which is called Imam al-Mahdi. He is obviously out, according to you. People can see him, but some people can't. But however, now we have another successor, which is Abu Sadiq. So we have two successors in our time.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically,
was there two successors in the time of the Prophet?
I mean, as we said before, Imam Ali and Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussein were all present in the time of the Prophet Muhammad, but by the will being passed to them, it does not mean that they were not designated as the successors. They clearly were designated as the successors from the time that they were born, and we know that they were purified.
So, sister, the issue is, I know Imam Ali alayhi salam was in the lifetime of the Prophet, but who was the main ruler on that point?
So it was Prophet Muhammad until he passed away, and then it was Imam Ali who was the successor who was ruling the people. But it did not mean that it did not mean that he was not present in the time of the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah, and look, even Imam Ali, I don't know if you know this, but the Ghadir Khum, right, where the Prophet Muhammad was very much alive, and he raised the hand of Imam Ali, and he said, whoever I'm the master of, Ali is his master. So he had already made Imam Ali a master over the Ummah while the Prophet Muhammad was still there. So it is possible that you have to be obedient to the successors, because you're like, the role of the ummah, the job of the ummah is to obey whatever the imam of the time says, and that was the Prophet Muhammad. So the Prophet Muhammad, if he says you have to obey Imam Ali, you obey him just simply because, not because the Prophet Muhammad is still alive, so I don't have to obey Imam Ali until after he's dead.
Yeah, he said,
but you have to,
the master of Ali is the master of that person.
You just have to obey the Imam Mahdi, regardless of whether he's living or if he has passed away.
I also want to draw your attention to the story of Moses and Aaron. Moses, when he went to go meet God and he was gone from the people for a time period, it was Aaron who was in charge because Aaron was his successor, but Moses was still the imam of the time. He was in charge of the Israelites while Moses was not present amongst them. But then when he came back, he was the one who was who returned to being the one in charge of the people. So this is not an unheard of concept in the context of the Abrahamic religions, and I'm sure that you're aware of that.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's just like a play on words, to be honest. Like, it's very, I think it's, I think that he understood the point we made. Perhaps maybe he just doesn't want to accept the answer. But I mean, at the end of the day, an answer is an answer, and the truth is the truth. And even if you argue against it, it's still the truth. So anyway, let's go back. I mean, we can go to the book of Matthew, right?
Sure.
Another one. But yeah, you were right. Yeah. It does connect with the golden rule. If whatever you want done unto you, you have to do to others. And that's pretty much the summary of all the law and the prophets, that just as Jesus said, because the entire idea is to do unto others what you want done to yourself, and then God will do to you what you do to others. Exactly. And then everybody's going to get whatever they want, and we're going to be living in a paradise. This is like the long story short.
And
that's the idea.
He talked about how he had put it into practice, and he experimented in his own journey, and he put this into practice, and he actually enacted these concepts, and he decided to be like this vessel through which God functioned. And whenever people would ask him for something, he would provide it for them, so much that he actually witnessed that, like, if he would even think of something, just that he wanted something, he would find someone bringing it to him. He'd think, I want a chocolate, or I want a donut, and then he'd find that somebody was knocking on the door and providing exactly what it was that he had been thinking about that he wanted. So it just puts it shows you that this concept, it really works. And we find it described in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 7, verses 7 through 8. Ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, the one who seeks finds, and the one who knocks to the one who knocks the door will be opened. So this idea is very much present in the teachings of Jesus. And we can go on to the next one, which is John chapter 15. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be done for you. So it's
exactly. But you have to actually obey Jesus.
Yes, you have
to actually abide in his words, right? So the words have to be abiding in you. Like, if he tells you forgive and you will be forgiven, and then you start implementing it and be like the house that's built on the rock, on the words of Jesus, then you will see that all of your prayers are being answered automatically. It's just, it's like, it reminds me of the hadith where, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, my servant, you want and I want. So give me what I want and I'll give you what you want. Fight me in what you want, and then I will make you tired of it. And in the end, it will be what I want. So the thing is that if we just align our desire and our will with what it is that we want, with what God wants, everything we will say to something be, and it will be. Because if your will is to be greedy, God is not going to give you what you want, and he's going to tire you out in that greed until you give up and then become generous. So karma's going to catch up to you until you give up on that and say, okay, fine, look what I was doing, I'm wrong, and then you repent, and then you start being generous, and then all of a sudden you're getting whatever you want because you did what God wanted you to do.
Yeah, exactly. You have to keep the commands, and then you'll find that this is the secret to it. You have to actually keep what Jesus has said, and you have to provide for others, and then it will be provided for you.
It's he's definitely a father, God is for sure a father, he's a very disciplinary in that way, he's teaching us slowly, slowly how to be like him, so he's just teaching us these traits and these good things slowly by giving us a lot of mercy, but also teaching us these lessons, and our entire reason for being is to worship God. And what does that mean, to know him? And how can you know somebody or something unless you are like them?
We have the opportunity, to act as God, right? To be this vessel through which God takes care of his creation. So, this is a form of putting that into practice.
So look, if you are merciful and you know and you learn how, what mercy is, you'll get to know God. You'll get to know, because you have to be the
but
vessel.
Then God will always outdo you as well.
Exactly. It's like a competition. It's a friendly competition with God. It's like a race. It's like, if how many good deeds can I do, and then what am I going to see God doing in return?
And you're going to find that God will top you.
It's exciting. It's like I am always excited, to be honest. I'm always excited to see what kind of things God is going to do in my life, because when I try to do a good deed, and I'm just like, and I'm so happy because I know that God is watching, and he's and he will reward me for it, maybe in some more understanding or something that I like and something that I want. Perhaps I gave food, and I don't really care about food, but I like knowledge, so then God will give me things that I like, and then it's like a fun back and forth game with God. And then you'll notice that it's just you and God walking around, just performing good deeds, and you find yourself being an extension of God's will on earth.
Exactly. And it's this constant generation of goodness, it's giving. It's not just taking and taking and taking. Exactly. And so we see that, then we're in abundance in the world. The world is full of people who are generous and caring and loving, and they're embodying God's traits. And I think that would be a very different world to live in. We can go to the next one, which is Luke chapter 6, verse 38. Jesus, he says, give and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. So again, this is exactly the law of attraction, the truth about the law of attraction.
Of course. You have to, if you want money, you can't just do affirmations. Perhaps God will give it to you because he's generous and merciful, but the best way to get it done is to actually perform those deeds to others, and then you will see a lot of abundance flowing and a lot of happiness flowing. And to go along with that goes the narration where it says that the happiness the happiness of the creature is hidden in the other creature's happiness. So when you are generous, when you perform these deeds that are good for others and you want them to be done to you, you automatically become happier, you become abundant, you become you become your best self, right? And then also the people around you are happy, and then you also get rewarded by God by not having to go hungry and not having to go naked,
this was such an important key, and I think that it's just incredible to know, because so many people are wondering, how do you be happy? People are looking for the secret to attaining happiness. Well, you can't just want it for yourself, right?
Exactly.
That's the thing. You're not going to have it. If you're just seeking it for yourself, you're never going to find it. The only way that you'll find it is if you provide it for somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty straightforward, to be honest. I think that the law of Jesus is extremely simple, to be honest, if you actually take it for what it is. But the only problem with that is there's fear. There's a lot of fear of scarcity in the world, right? Yeah. They say, if I give all my money away, then I will be poor, and then I'm not going to have anything, you know, and so then you don't share anything because you're like, but if I give it to, you know, so it's fear. And to be honest, as a person who did, you know, try to, I did try to implement the law of this law of God, the law of Jesus into my life. And there was a certain amount of time that I was poor, and there was a certain amount of time when I was homeless. Like, there was a certain amount of time where, for the sake of giving to others, sometimes I suffered financially and others. But the thing is that it's a test, is to see if you're really serious and if you're really, you know,
or will you give up?
Exactly. But the thing is that even in those moments when of like a poverty and homelessness, I never went hungry, and I always had everything I needed, and I was always happy anyway. You know, so the thing is that it does pay off, and it is the best ticket to heaven, and it's the only ticket to heaven, and it's the only ticket to happiness, to prosperity, to you know, abundance and blessings from God. This is the only way, is to actually perform the deeds that you want for yourself. If you want money, you have to be generous. If you want happiness, you have to make other people happy.
And you can't escape this, you know. I mean, and we have so many verses that highlight it, and unfortunately, because of time, I don't think we can get to all of them. But, you know, Jesus, he said, if you want to be forgiven, you have to forgive. And he said, judge not lest you be judged, you know. And so we find in all of these verses that basically there is an end to the story, and in the end, God is the one who judges us all, right? So however we are with others, that is how God will be with us. So then it's really in our hands. You know, do we want God to be merciful with us? Do we want to recognize God as the merciful, you know, entity that he is? Or do we want to see God as, you know, stingy and judgmental? Because really how we are with people reflects how we see God. So if we know and we understand that God, he wants to be generous, and God wants to be loving, you know, he wants to be that for all of creation, and he wants to use us in order to be that for all of creation. It's important for us to understand that, you know, at the end we will face our own selves, basically, because however it is that we are with others, that is how we will find that God, you know, is with us. And there's this parable that Jesus speaks about in the Bible, the parable of the unmerciful servant, and it's a really sobering warning.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it's like you know, where a master, you know, a rich man, he lent some money to another person, right?
To his servant.
To his servant. And the servant, he couldn't repay the debt. He couldn't repay it. So the master, the rich man, he forgave him the debt. He said, "Halas, you don't have to."
Like, please.
He was begging him, please, like, give me mercy, and he gives him mercy, and he allows him to go without paying the debt. And then this servant, he goes off, and he has somebody else who owes him money, right? And the person, he pleads with him. He says, please have mercy on me. I don't have the money to repay you. And he beats him, and he tells him, he demands him, and he throws him in jail, right? And then the master, the rich man, he sees this happening, and he actually like takes back his forgiveness, and he punishes him and throws him in jail because of his treatment.
I mean, he can't believe that he showed him mercy. He showed him mercy. And then, you know, the servant, he has the audacity to not be merciful in return. And then because of that, actually the mercy of the king is revoked, and he has to pay and be punished for the fact that he wasn't merciful, and he has to repay his debt. So it's just a really sobering story. And it just goes to show, I mean, when God is merciful with us, how can we dare to not be merciful with others when God has provided everything for us? How can we dare to not provide for others? And actually, we have an opportunity to you know, to look at God and say, like, God, you are so merciful and so generous and so loving and so kind, and to be that for other people and to provide that for other people. And at the end of the day, we'll always find that God will provide more for us, and that's how we attract everything that we want.
Exactly. So the law of attraction is real, and you have the key to it. And if you want to use it, you are more than welcome to, and God will greatly reward you for that. Thank you so much for joining us today for this amazing conversation, and I hope that it gave you a lot to think about. And please check out the video of Aba Al-Sadiq. It's really amazing. Thanks so much. God bless you all.
Thank you, Saiha. We'll see you tomorrow.